Alright, this is a 2004 CRF 450R. I picked up this bike in 05 from a gentleman that was getting shipped overseas to work for his job. You need to get rid of it, so I've been the primary owner of this bike since new, and I've taken really good care of it. I'm really comfortable with maintenance. I've done most of it myself, except for a few things that I'll go over in a little while. Right now the bike, I just pushed it out of the garage, so it's not hot. You can see here, it's totally cold. It hasn't been started yet, so I'm going to try and fire it up just to show you guys. It at least runs. Let me set this down here for a second though. Make sure the choke is on. One kick, fired right up. Anyways, bike runs pretty good. Never had any issues. It started first kick that time, which is nice. Sometimes it takes 2 or 3, but typically starts right up, no problems. So I have had the engine rebuilt, God, a long time ago. Like I said, it was done by a professional shop, used good quality parts. I couldn't remember what I put in it back then, but I probably just said put the best of the best in it. That's how I typically go. Oil's been recently changed. I stored the bike. I drain the carb every single year, store it that way, and I run fuel stabilizer through it all the time as well. I use Seafoam. I've done oil filter changes every other oil change, and I've changed the oil depending on the ride, sometimes every ride and always every other ride. I've never gone more than a couple rides without changing the oil, even if, I'll let those guys go by. Even if I was out on the trail, you know, like going camping for 4 or 5 days, I just bring everything to change the bike. Now, there are a few things that are in kind of rough shape, mainly the plastics. I had this stored out, covered, and well, the cover blew off, so some of the plastics are pretty fried by the sun. I mean, this is the original plate since 04, so I mean, stuff like that's been around a long time. I can't really sure if I can show, but some of the texture in this is kind of faded. But that's just the plastic. The rest of the bike is really solid. Most everything is pretty much stock. I never did anything too crazy with upgrades. You know, I got some like basic braces and things like that, but I never went too crazy. The main thing I did upgrade on the bike, you know, aside from that, was probably like some nice guards for the radiators, to protect those. I used to run a skid plate on it, but I haven't done that in a long time because I got sick and tired of dealing with all the maintenance and oil changes and stuff, so I just took it off, and I've never had an issue, knock on wood. I run Excel rims with Talon hubs, and I've just recently lubed up the axles and the ball bearings and stuff. All that was really solid. This is in really good shape right now. And then as far as like the chain and sprocket is concerned, back here, they're both in really good shape. You can see that nothing wrong there. Chain smooth, it's all nice and adjusted. Everything's good there. I flushed out the brakes. I didn't really ride it much last year, but I did flush out the brakes the year before that. The only other thing maybe worth mentioning is I've got some handlebar risers on here. I like to stand up on a ride, so you know, I don't know if you guys care about that. They're Renthal bars. They're decent. They're the twin wall. They've been good to me. You can see I've dumped it over a couple of times. I've got some extra, you know, handlebars and levers and stuff. But yeah, like I said, the bike has been a great bike for me. It starts, it runs good. The tires are in good shape. If I showed that, they're not brand new by any means, but they still got plenty of tread left on them. No issues here, you know, so should be fine. What else? Last time I checked the valves, they were in really good shape as well, so no issues there. Oh man, I don't really know what else to say about the bike. If you guys have any questions, I guess you can kind of call. We chat about it. I live in Springdale, Utah, right outside of Zion National Park. It's a little out of the ways, but I'm willing to travel. I go up to Salt Lake a fair amount, so if any of you guys are from Salt Lake, you want to check it out, might be able to arrange something there. Gotta make it worth the trip though. Yeah, I guess I'll just kind of go over and let you guys kind of see as much the condition of the bike as it possibly can. Like the swing arms here, there's definitely been some. It's 2003 or 2004, I guess. The bike's definitely had some hard knocks. I've taken some big spills on this thing. This is probably one of the most significant pieces of damage on the swing arm. Actually, it is the most significant, and it's never affected the performance or it didn't knock anything out. No funny business going on, but it just came down sideways on a rock, and it just wound up denting it pretty bad. The crash actually really wasn't that dramatic. It's kind of funny how some of the more high-speed crashes don't really do as much damage as some of the slower, hopping over rock fields and stuff like that. So, that's something that's definitely a standout when you look at the bike. And then as far as the engine's concerned, I've always done what I can to keep the bike in pristine condition. The air filter in here is really good. It's pretty much brand new. I change that all the time. I'm a desert guy, so it's been out in the desert a lot, so I had to change that pretty often. I also lived in Oregon for a while and rode it there, and so we did a lot of the woodsy, muddy kind of trails as well. The bike suspension wise, I'm only 140 pounds, so I'm a pretty light guy, but I like a really stiff suspension. So I've actually had it, I think it's sprung for someone who's closer to 165, 180, somewhere in there. I actually couldn't tell you. It's been way too long. But it's definitely more stiff than it probably should be for me. I've lost a lot of weight since I rode this bike. But yeah, if you guys have any other questions or anything, let me know. I'm happy to answer them or go over the bike. And yeah, aside from that, hope you have a good day.